All right, so I'm going to go through and show you a few different demos on how to do the Window to Another World project. Now, if you guys have started this already and you know some of the tools, or if we got to them in class, just kind of skip ahead and you should see me doing something new at that point, then kind of watch that. So the first thing that I want to show you guys is how to use the polygonal lasso tool. So that's here in your lasso menu. It's the second option down. And the reason why we like to use this tool is because it allows you to cut out straight edges, like these windows. So basically what you're going to do is click each corner of your window. And you'll see that it makes that selection. And obviously, like any other selection that you want to remove, just hit backspace to get rid of it. I'm going to hide that. We're going to come back to that in a little bit. So you'll see that deleting that obviously we'll make that go away, and we want to do that for all the windows. So if you guys have window frames, try your best to keep those. If you have stuff like this in one of your windows, that's okay. You can still use your polygonal lasso to cut as close to it as you can, and then you can come back in here with like your eraser tool or whatnot and then clean up this extra junk that you don't want. Okay. So I won't spend too much time on that. We'll go ahead and move ahead as if we have cut all our windows out. So once I get those all cut out, really the next thing that I'm going to do is add a background in here. Okay, so your background can be literally anything you want. I've chosen an outer space scene, but it does not have to be outer space. You know, whatever seems like an interesting background to you is totally fine. So when I paste it in here, it's going to be at first on top of everything else. Here in my layer menu, I simply need to rearrange my layers. So my outer space layer here, I'm going to click and hold that and just drag it underneath my window layer. And then I can resize that as I see fit, because really all the bigger it needs to be is big enough to cover up your windows here. So really the next thing that I need to do after I've found my background, and again, if you want to play with your background, you can paste multiple different things and see what kind of works. But again, once you're kind of beyond that point and you're happy and your background works for you, the next thing that we want to do is we want to begin adjusting the coloring and lighting here in your window layer. So I need to be clicked on my actual windows. So over in my layer menu, you can see that I'm clicked on the window layer itself. And all of my adjustments I'm going to make by coming up here to where it says window. Let's see if I can move this around. Or excuse me, image, not window, but image. And under image, I'm going to pick this option that says adjustments. So the first one that I like to tinker with is color balance. And when you open up color balance, you're going to get three little sliders. And you'll notice that each of these sliders move between one color and another. This one moves from cyan to red. This one moves from magenta to green. And finally, this one moves from yellow to blue. Basically, what you're going to do is take this little arrow on each slider, and you're going to kind of move it in the direction of the colors that you see predominantly in the background. So if we're trying to mirror this scene here, you'll notice that there's a lot of purples, little bits of blue, maybe some oranges. So what I want to do is I'm going to kind of move these sliders in that direction. I don't want to go overboard with it. I don't want it to look like super like neon-y like that. Okay, I just want to add subtle hints of those colors to kind of get me going in the right direction. Okay, and when I'm happy with it, I can hit OK. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to hit image adjustments once more. This time I'm going to pick hue and saturation. Okay. So each of these sliders, you'll see that we have hue, saturation, and lightness. You barely want to tinker with. Hue literally refers to your overall color here. So if you get real wild with it, you're literally going to go through your entire rainbow. So you really just want to barely move it one direction or the other to kind of see what effects you can get. Saturation is kind of the same case. If you were going to turn it all the way down, you'd be left with a black and white scene. And all the way up, you're going to get kind of this hyper neon, unrealistic look. So typically what I suggest, if you have like a night scene, you have something that's not super vibrant, bring your saturation down a little bit. But if you have like a volcano going off in the background or a neon kind of skyline in your background, you may want to pull your saturation up. So I might pull mine down just a hair. Finally, lightness. If you were to turn that all the way down, it's going to be pitch black. All the way up, it's going to be this pure white. So you don't want to mess with that too much. Okay, you just pull that up or down. The final adjustment that you are going to make is this. You're going to go, once again, to image adjustments. This time you're going to use brightness and contrast. So this is fairly self-explanatory, brightness. Bringing it up and down will make it brighter or darker. Again, you want to be kind of subtle with this. I'm going to make it just a little bit darker. In terms of my contrast, and what I suggest for you guys is to always increase contrast. Increasing your contrast will kind of boost the differences between your shadows and highlights, and generally it just kind of makes your details pop. So really the last thing that I want you all to do today is to work on adding something to the inside of your room that kind of ties together with your background itself. So for instance, I have my outer space scene here, so I've added an astronaut to my room. And then as you guys add that additional image, really all you need to do is the same way that we just played with our coloring and lighting to make it feel as if they belong in the room as well.